Hi everyone, it's Brother Paul. Got something I want to share with you guys. I had a wonderful dream, and I mean wonderful dream. I went to bed speaking to the Father in prayer, asking Him, show me something that I need to know and that the body needs to know. So this is what He shared with me. I had a dream this morning. I woke up at 3:14 a.m. and it was me and a bunch of people. We were outside, not really sure where we were, but it seemed like a military complex or industrial anyway. And I noticed there was two men and a woman coming towards me, and they seemed important. Like they were walking towards us with authority, and there was something different about them. I couldn't put my finger on it. But anyway, they walked up to us, and they started picking recruits out of all the people that were around me. And we were all put in a warehouse, and there was a special training officer who I recognized from the crowd. And I saw another friend of mine was outside a fence, and he was cheering on. And I'll call the special guy called Randy, and my friend Brent was outside the fence. And he's like, I knew it. And he was just cheering. He goes, I knew you were special. I knew you were special. Anyway, so I kept looking at these three people that were like kind of our, if you want to call them training officers. And they had this, like an angelic look about them. So I looked around who the recruits were. And it was men and boys and women. And we were all settling in. And like I said, they put us in this kind of a warehouse setting. So while we were there, I noticed that I was the oldest one. And some of these recruits were as young as 12 years old. And although I didn't notice how many there were there, we were all picked for our different talents, if you want to call it that. So anyway, they told us to sit down, and there was a bench, and it was in a circle, and it was time to go to bed. So they had this blanket. All of us were given blankets, and we were on this bed that was in a circle. So all the men and women, we laid down for the night, and kind of these soldiers that were training us, I'm going to call them moral soldiers. They had this way about them. It was so positive. So anyway, they told us that we must, when we got up at the point where they wanted us to get up, they instructed us that we have to step into our super soldier bodies. And some were picked from the kids group, and they had special skills. And I was picked because I was 50 years old. We each got into our new bodies, and I forgot to mention that outside this warehouse there was like these creatures that were lurking, and I don't know how to describe them. I've been trying to think about how to describe them, but if anybody's played video games and they know what a wreath is, it's like a see-through, almost like a witch character. Anyway, that's the best way I could describe them. They were like a wreath, or wraith, however you say it. Anyway, so we were instructed to come outside and to look up at the sky. So we looked up at the sky, and that's when I noticed that the sky started forming into many spaceships, and they were black, and then they went from being like invisible to appearing, and they were black spaceships, and they all landed, and it was weird to see the whole sky turn into ships, but we were taken to a new place of existence. So when each one of us had to get into this ship, all that was inside these ships individually were these massive bodies, and it was weird. We had to step into them, like not like a robot, but you had to get into the ship, and you were kind of like under the legs of this giant body. And when we flew to where we were going, we were now part of that huge body. And the minute we got there, our first mission started right away. We were told to get into these huge vehicles that looked like Dune military buggies. And I was in the last group, and I had fighting skills in something, but they said I made up for in fighting skills what I lacked in immoral ones, which I don't know what that means, but I guess we're all sinful. Maybe that's what they meant. Anyway, that's the dream, and I'll see what I can do with the rest of this. Bye.